Yeah, so just to introduce what we're doing. So this is kind of the stand-in for the meditation retreat at the end of the module on impermanence and death, or death and rebirth, it's called. Um, yeah, if we were in person, we'd probably do 2 full days, 2 or 3 full days together, or at least have the opportunity, but we're doing by Zoom. So yeah, and I'm in the US now, actually. I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina. So it's easy to do. So we can do, yeah, these sessions, yeah, in the daytime. So what we'll do, so usually, typically when we do, in the Buddhist tradition, when we do a meditation retreat, it's quite common to do 4 sessions a day. Um, so that's why I structured it like this. And we'll just do, since we're just very beginner level, we'll just do very short sessions, 4 sessions of 1 hour each. And then I group them in 2 blocks, one at the before lunch and one after lunch, basically. So um, yeah, usually when we do retreat, I mean, retreat means kind of like we set a boundary in one way, and we also pull back or refrain from um, other things. We kind of retreat from certain activities. So mainly when we do retreat, we try to refrain from, um, especially creating any non-virtuous karma and following our afflictive emotions. Um, so we try to refrain from harming anyone, and so we try to use that time to be more mindful of our motivation in all of our actions, and mindful of our actions of body, speech, and mind. See that we're using them in a positive way, and not using them in a destructive or harmful way. And then within that basis of pure morality, practicing pure morality, then we also try to focus our minds more on, just keep them more focused, keep our minds more focused in general, and then especially focus our minds on spiritual teachings, Dharma teachings. So in this context, then we'll use this time, these 4 sessions, to try to focus our attention on what we've been learning about and discussing in this last module on impermanence and death. So all the meditations we'll do will just be repetitions of what we've already done in the course of the sessions we've done. But now we just have a little more time to spend on each of the different topics of meditation, so we can go more deeply into them. Um, So during this first session, we'll begin with some prayers. Each session will begin with a little bit of prayers, and then end with some dedication. So this first session, then after we do prayers, I think we'll spend about half the session on placement meditation, just to generate some mental focus, and then we'll begin with meditating on impermanence, as we perceive in the external environment, and then as we can observe in our body and mind. Um, then we'll move on gradually to the disadvantages of not reflecting on permanence and death, the advantages of reflecting on permanence and death, and then, yeah, so forth. Then tomorrow, mostly, or I don't know, later this afternoon or tomorrow, we'll do the 9-point death meditation, and then meditation on the 8 stages of absorption at the time of death. Mm, and then, yeah, then practice more, imagining what happens at the time of death in terms of karma and so forth. So first, let's just sit quietly for a few minutes and start to focus our attention. And then we'll recite together the 4 immeasurable thoughts. I'll show my screen, and then we'll spend some time generating a motivation. And then we can recite the Refuge and Bodhicitta prayer. So first, let's just sit quietly for a couple minutes and try to focus one's attention on an object of meditation, either your breath or nature of the mind or something else. And then, as a way of generating positive motivation, visualize oneself. It's good to visualize oneself surrounded by all sentient beings, as I've done before. So beginning with our father of this life, imagine seated to our immediate right, then all of our male friends and family seated to our right and behind us, grandfathers and uncles and so forth. And be aware of your interconnectedness with them. And then imagine seated at your immediate left, your mother of this life, and all of your female family and friends. And then imagine those whom you're most prone to become angry or upset with, seated directly in front of you, a few meters distant, facing towards you. And then imagine all the other sentient beings, all in human form, seated all around you as vast as space. And feel how you're interconnected with all of them. And then we can read this prayer of the four immeasurable thoughts. So there's immeasurable equanimity and immeasurable compassion, immeasurable love, and immeasurable joy. So we can just read through once, and then we can use this as a basis for generating a more deeply generating a positive motivation. Or we can think in any other way. How wonderful it would be for all sentient beings to abide in equanimity, free from attachment to friends and anger towards enemies. May they abide in equanimity. I myself will cause them to abide in equanimity. Please grant me blessings to be able to do this. How wonderful it would be for all sentient beings to have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they have happiness and its causes. I myself will cause them to have these. Please grant me blessings to be able to do this. How wonderful it would be for all sentient beings to be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they be free from suffering and its causes. I myself will cause them to be free from these. Please grant me blessings to be able to do this. How wonderful it would be for all sentient beings to never be separated from the happiness which is totally beyond suffering. May they be never separated from this. I myself will cause them to be never separated from this. Please grant me blessings to be able to do this. We'll spend a few minutes generating, or a minute or two, generating positive motivation for engaging in this session and this entire kind of retreat. And then if you like, you can visualize in the space before you, Shakyamuni Buddha. Yeah, Shakyamuni Buddha, or your own teachers. Um, yeah, and generate the mind of refuge, which is a mind of fear of the suffering of samsara and the suffering of lower realms, and I wish to be free from those. And then faith in the objects of refuge, having the ability to protect one from suffering. So whichever object of refuge you're focusing on, especially feel that they're actually present in the space before you, and looking upon you with affection. And then we can recite this refuge and bodhicitta prayer. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly by my two collections of listening to the Dharma. May I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly by my two collections of listening to the Dharma. May I become, or we can say meditating on the Dharma. May I become a Buddha to benefit transmigratory beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly by my two collections of meditating on the Dharma. May I become a Buddha in order to benefit all transmigratory beings. So then imagine the object of refuge, whichever you're focusing on, that agrees to look after you and guide you in your meditation on impermanence and death. So now as the first part of the actual session, we can, I think, we'll just take about a little over 10 minutes and just do placement meditation first, practicing just keeping our mind focused on one object. So you can choose the object of your meditation, object of meditation, whether it's sensations of breathing or the nature of your mind, um, or some attitude like love or loving kindness, compassion. But don't practice analytical meditation in any case. Just pick an object and just simply try to keep your attention focused on the object, and then recognize. So that's the aspect of mindfulness, trying to maintain a continuity of focus through time, without one's attention wavering, and then also use about 25% of your mental energy as an introspection, looking at, it's like an observer, meta awareness, observing your own action of meditation, process of meditation, and noticing if you become distracted, if your mind wanders off or is about to wander off to something else, or if the mind is sinking down, becoming unclear, then noticing those things, and then, if your mind's wandered off, bringing it back to the object of meditation. If your mind is becoming too sunken down, then trying to lift the mind up, make it more energized, and so forth. So practice using mindfulness and introspection, and focusing on an object of meditation for about 10 minutes. Okay. Relax your attention now. So we'll take a 3-minute break now, and then we'll resume. Finish the rest of the hour. So you can stretch your legs or go to the toilet or whatever.